Hear me now, chosen one. Why is it that after everything you have already survived, someone still wants to see you fall? Why is it that just when you finally found a little peace, another attack came, another whisper, another face turning cold on you for no reason you can name? You have asked God that question in the dark. You have laid in bed replaying it, wondering what you did to deserve the way certain people treat you. And tonight I am not going to hand you another empty answer. Tonight I am going to tell you the truth that heaven has been waiting for you to hear. This is not random. It never was. You were not attacked because you are weak. You were attacked because of what you carry. Understand me. Nobody wastes their energy tearing down a house that has nothing inside it. Nobody sets a trap for something worthless. The very fact that you keep getting targeted, the very fact that people who barely know you seem to decide they are against you, is not a curse on your life. It is a signature on your calling. There is something on you that the enemy can feel even when the people around you cannot explain it, and they came for it. Again and again they came for it. But hear this word and let it go all the way down into the place where you have been holding your fear. This was the last one, this attack, the one that hurt the most, the one you thought you would not walk away from, the one that made you question whether God even remembered your name. That one, that was their final move, not the beginning of a longer war, the end of it. Type 777 in the comments right now if you feel in your spirit that this message found you on purpose tonight. Type it, because I need you to mark this moment. I need you to remember that on this night, you were told the season of being hunted is closing. Because you have been carrying this so long that you forgot what it feels like to not brace yourself. You walk into rooms already tense. You read a short text and your stomach drops before you even open it. You have learned to sleep with one eye open, spiritually speaking, always waiting for the next hit. And God saw every one of those nights. He counted them. He was not absent while you were being wounded. He was watching, and he was writing down a verdict. Let me tell you something they never told you in church. The reason the fight has been so fierce is because the prize is so high. Weak enemies do not chase strong destinies. They only rise up when they sense that God is about to promote you past a level they can reach. That opposition you have been feeling, that is not proof you are losing. That is proof you are close. And here is what the people who came against you do not know. They were never really fighting you. You were never the one holding the outcome in your hands. There is a God who has been standing between you and them the entire time, and they mistook his patience for his absence. They thought the silence meant you had no defender. They were wrong. They were so wrong. So before we go one step further, I need you to breathe. Loosen the grip you have had on your own survival, because everything I am about to show you over the next few minutes is going to change how you see every wound, every betrayal, every closed door, and every enemy who ever underestimated you. They thought they were burying you. They had no idea they were planting you. Now let me tell you what you have gotten wrong all these years, and I say it gently, because you carried the wrong story for so long that it became part of how you see yourself. You thought all of this meant something was wrong with you. You looked at the pattern, the falling out with people you trusted, the way certain doors kept closing, the way even good things seemed to attract quiet resistance. And somewhere in the back of your mind a voice told you, maybe I am the problem, maybe I am too much, maybe I am cursed. Maybe I am simply the kind of person that trouble follows. And you have lived under that verdict for years, apologizing for taking up space, shrinking yourself, trying to be smaller so that maybe, just maybe, the attacks would stop. But hear me now. This is not persecution. This is confirmation. What you called a curse, heaven calls a target painted by your own light. What you called rejection was recognition. The enemy recognizing something in you before you ever recognized it in yourself. You are not the problem. You are the point. Everything that came against you because you were never ordinary. And the unseen realm knew it long before your own mirror did. Think about it. You do not put a guard around an empty vault. You do not send an army after a person with nothing to lose. The intensity of what came against you was never a measure of how broken you are. It was a measure of how valuable you are. Read that again in your spirit. The size of the opposition has always been telling you the size of the assignment. And you have felt it, even when you had no words for it. You feel things in rooms that other people do not feel. You walk in and something shifts, and you cannot explain why some people warm to you instantly while others turn cold before you even open your mouth. You have been misread your whole life. Called intimidating when you were only being honest. Called too sensitive when you were simply awake to things others slept through. You carry other people's pain home with you and lie awake with it. You have been the strong one for everybody, the one they run to, and yet somehow the one nobody thinks to protect. You have cried in cars, you have prayed in bathrooms so no one would hear you break. You have smiled through gatherings while something inside you quietly bled. And after all of that, you still showed up. You still loved. You still believed. Do you understand how rare that is? That is not weakness. That is anointing that refused to die. So let me pull the wrong story out of your hands and hand you the true one. The attacks were not evidence that God forgot you. They were evidence that God marked you. The enemy does not fight over people who are going nowhere. He panics over the ones who are about to step into who they really are, and that is you. That has always been you. You were not being punished. You were being confirmed. Every single time someone tried to tear you down and could not finish the job, that was not you barely surviving. That was heaven refusing to let you be destroyed. You are still standing not because the attacks were weak, but because the hand holding you was strong. And the enemy is starting to realize something that terrifies him. He threw his best at you, and you are still here. Still breathing, still believing, still chosen. That is not the story of a victim. That is the story of someone the darkness could not swallow. And once you understand why they really came for you, you will never see your past the same way again. So now let me answer the question you have never stopped asking. Why? Why did they come for you? Why those particular people, at those particular moments, in ways that seemed almost designed to wound you exactly where you were softest? Here is what heaven wants you to finally understand. This is why that friendship you would have died for suddenly turned. You thought you lost someone. You did not lose anyone. You were being separated from a person who was never meant to walk into the next chapter of your life. God did not let that relationship survive, because if it had survived, it would have anchored you to a version of yourself you were supposed to outgrow. What felt like abandonment was actually extraction. He was pulling you out before the roots grew too deep to move. This is why that opportunity fell apart. At the last minute, the one you begged for, the one you cried over when it slipped through your fingers, you called it failure. But you could not see what was waiting on the other side of that door. You did not know what you were being protected from. Some of the things you prayed hardest for were the very things that would have quietly destroyed you, and God loved you too much to answer the way you demanded. He said no, and you thought he was punishing you, when really he was rescuing you from a future you could not yet see. This is why certain people betrayed you right before something good was about to happen. Because they were never assigned to your rise. They were assigned to your season of preparation. And their assignment ended, so they left the way they were always going to leave. You did not do anything wrong. You simply reached the edge of where they were permitted to travel with you. Let me tell you something, and I need you to sit with it. Not every departure is a loss. Some departures are deliverance wearing the mask of heartbreak. You have grieved people who were removed for your protection. You have mourned doors that were slammed by the very hand that was keeping you alive. You have blamed yourself for endings that were mercy in disguise. And I know that is hard to hear, because the pain was real. The tears were real. The nights you could not eat were real. I am not asking you to pretend it did not hurt. I am asking you to see it with new eyes. Every person who could not stay was a person heaven could not trust with where you are going. There were things planned for your downfall that you never even saw. Traps set that you walked right past because God rerouted your steps at the last second. Conversations happening about you in rooms you were not in, and he was in those rooms, dismantling what was meant to bury you. You have no idea how many times you were spared. You only felt the ones that landed. You never counted the hundreds that missed. So when you look back at all the wreckage and wonder why your road has been so full of loss, understand this. It was never loss. It was a series of rescues you were not ready to recognize. The people who left had to leave. The doors that closed had to close. The attacks that hurt were the price of being pulled out of a trap. And the God who allowed the pain never once let it be the end of your story. He was not asleep while you were being wounded. He was clearing the field, and now that the field is clear, you are about to understand what all of this was building in you. Because nothing about your suffering was wasted. I need you to hear that with your whole heart. Nothing. The fire you walked through was not meant to consume you. It was meant to refine you. And there is a difference between a fire that destroys and a fire that purifies, though while you are standing in the flames they feel exactly the same. Only afterward do you understand which one you survived. Look at David. Long before he ever wore a crown, he was a boy in a field that nobody counted. And when God chose him, when the oil was poured over his head, you would think his troubles were over. But that is not what happened. The moment he was anointed, the hunting began. Saul, the king, the very man who should have blessed him, spent years chasing him through caves and wilderness, trying to end his life. Think about that. David was not being pursued because he had failed. He was being pursued because he had been chosen. The anointing did not remove the attack. The anointing invited it, and in those caves, hiding, hunted, exhausted, David was not being destroyed. He was being forged into a king who would know how to depend on God instead of himself. Look at Joseph, thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold like property, lied about, forgotten in a prison for something he never did, year after year after year. If you had met Joseph in that cell, you would have called his life a tragedy. You would have said his enemies won. But you would have been reading the story too early. Because every betrayal was a step. The pit led to the palace. The prison led to the throne. And one day Joseph looked at the very brothers who tried to bury him and said, "You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good." He did not say God fixed the evil. He said God repurposed it. Your enemies aimed for your grave, and God used their aim to build your greatness. And look at Elijah, a prophet who called down fire from heaven, and yet days later he was sitting alone under a broom tree, so worn down, so emptied out that he asked God to let him die. Even the mighty get tired, even the chosen reach the end of themselves. And God did not scold him. God did not lecture him. God let him sleep. God fed him. God whispered to him. Because sometimes the refining is not more battle. Sometimes the refining is being brought so low that you finally learn you were never carrying yourself. Do you see it now? Every one of them was attacked in the exact season they were being prepared. The opposition and the preparation were the same event. What the enemy called an attempt to end them, heaven called an apprenticeship. And that is what has been happening to you. The patience you have now, you did not have before the waiting. The discernment you have now, the way you can read a room, sense when something is off, know who to trust. You earned that in the seasons people betrayed you. The strength in you that does not break under pressure, that was hammered out on the anvil of everything you survived. You did not come out of the fire the same. You came out sharper, deeper, harder to fool, impossible to break. They were trying to end you. Instead, they trained you, and now you stand here, refined, forged, tested, holding a strength that only comes from surviving what was meant to kill you. The enemy looks at you and does not understand why you are still standing, but you understand now. The fire was never his weapon, it was God's tool. You went in awe. You are coming out gold. Now I have to tell you something about your enemies that they do not know about themselves. The trap is already set, but not the one they think. They have been so busy digging a pit for you that they never once looked down at the ground beneath their own feet. And Scripture said it long ago, in words plain enough for a child. The one who digs a pit will fall into it. The stone that a man rolls to crush another will roll back and crush the one who pushed it. This is not me wishing harm on anyone. This is a law of the unseen world, as certain as gravity. What is sent out in darkness comes home in the light. Every scheme they built against you was built on the assumption that no one was watching. That is their fatal mistake. Because someone was always watching. Every word spoken about you in a room you were not in was recorded. Every quiet plan, every whispered agreement, every effort to make you look small so they could feel large. All of it was seen by the God who does not sleep. And he has been letting it accumulate. He has been letting them build and build and build until the whole structure is ready to collapse under its own weight. Understand me. God does not rush his justice, and that has confused you. You watched people wrong you and prosper. You watched them smile and climb while you struggled, and part of you wondered if evil simply wins. But you were watching an unfinished story. The delay was never denial. The delay was the trap being set. He was letting them get comfortable. He was letting them overreach. He was letting them commit fully to a course they cannot come back from. And here is the part I need you to receive, because it will set your soul free tonight. This is not your job. You do not have to plot. You do not have to expose anyone. You do not have to stay up strategizing how to get even, rehearsing the speech you will give when you finally confront them, imagining the day they get what they deserve. Put it down, put the whole weight of it down. Vengeance was never yours to carry, and every hour you spend carrying it is an hour the enemy steals from your peace. God said it plainly. Vengeance belongs to him. He will repay. Not you. Him. Type 444 in the comments if you are ready, right now, to hand the fight over to God and stop carrying what was never yours to carry. Type it as a declaration. Type it as a release. Because the moment you stop fighting the way the world fights, heaven is free to fight the way only heaven can. And when God moves, he does not move the way you would. He does not need to lift a finger against your enemies. He simply steps back and lets the trap they built do exactly what it was designed to do. The lie they told begins to unravel on its own. The alliance they formed against you begins to fracture from the inside. The plan they were so proud of starts to turn, quietly, inevitably, back toward its makers. And you did nothing. You just kept your hands clean and your heart soft and let God be God. They came for your peace, and they will lose their own. They came for your name, and their own name is what will be exposed. They dug the pit expecting to watch you fall, and one day soon they will look up from the bottom of it and finally understand. You were never the one in danger. You were the one being protected, and they were never fighting you. They were fighting the God who stands in front of you. That fight was over before it began. So now lift your eyes off of what is behind you, because what is behind you is finished. I want to turn you toward what is coming, because chosen one, something is coming, and it is nearer than you dare to believe. There is a shift on your horizon. You may not see it yet with your eyes, but your spirit has been feeling it, that strange restlessness lately, that sense that the old season is ending, even though nothing has visibly changed. That is not anxiety. That is anticipation. That is your spirit picking up the sound of a door beginning to open before your ears can hear it. The season of survival is closing, and the season of restoration is about to begin. And when God restores, he does not simply put things back the way they were. Hear me. He never gives back the same. He gives back more. Scripture speaks of the years the locusts ate, all those seasons that were stolen, all that time that felt wasted, all the good that was devoured before you could enjoy it. And God says he will restore those years, not the days. The years, he reaches back into your ruined seasons and he redeems the time itself, so that what took you a decade to lose, he can return in a moment. Think of what that means for you. The relationships that were poisoned by people who lied about you, God can clear your name in rooms you will never have to enter. The reputation that was quietly damaged, he can rebuild in ways that leave people wondering how you rose after everything they said. The opportunities you thought were gone forever, he can reopen, or he can open new ones so much better that you will forget you ever grieved the old ones. What was taken from you is not lost. It is in escrow, and the release is coming. I am not promising you a specific thing, and I will never stand here and hand you a lottery ticket dressed up as a prophecy. That is not what this is, but I am telling you what heaven does with a life that endured what yours endured. It vindicates, it elevates, it repays. The God who let you be tested is the same God who keeps meticulous records, and no tear you cried was ever off the books. And the vindication, when it comes, will be unmistakable, because that is how God does it. He does not clear your name in secret. He does not restore you in a corner where no one can see. He prepares a table for you in the presence of your enemies, the very ones who wrote you off. He seats you at abundance in full view of the people who said you would never recover. He does not sneak you into your promotion. He walks you into it while the whole room watches. And there is nothing your enemies can do but see it. So the tears you cried in secret will be answered in the open. The prayers you whispered where no one could hear will be answered where everyone can. The God who saw you break in private is going to let the world see you blessed in public, not so you can gloat, but so it is finally undeniably clear whose side heaven was on the whole time. Your best years were never behind you. They were being held back on purpose, kept safe from thieves who would have taken them if they had come too soon. And now the season of holding back is over. Get ready. What is coming for you is bigger than what tried to break you. But between where you stand tonight and the restoration that is coming, there is a bridge you have to walk, and how you walk it matters. So let me give you what to do while you wait for God to finish what only He can finish. Not theory. Things you can hold on to starting tonight. First, stop defending yourself to people who have already decided against you. I know how hard this is. Everything in you wants to explain, to set the record straight, to make them finally understand your side. Let it go. When you are innocent and you know it, and God knows it, you do not owe your defense to people who never wanted the truth in the first place. Jesus stood before his accusers and answered them with silence, because some accusations are not questions, they are traps. Do not step into the trap. Let your life be your defense. Time will say what your mouth never could. Second, guard your energy like it is holy, because it is. Stop pouring yourself into rooms that only drain you. Stop replaying the arguments at 2 a.m, rehearsing what you should have said. Every hour you spend inside your enemy's head is an hour you have handed them your peace for free. Take it back. Your peace is not a small thing. It is the soil your future is growing in, and you cannot afford to poison it. Third, watch what comes out of your mouth about your own life. In the seasons of attack, it is so easy to speak death over yourself, to say, I am cursed. Nothing ever works for me. I always get hurt. Stop. Your words are seeds and your own ears are listening. Speak the truth heaven speaks. Say, I am protected. Say, I am being restored. Say, what came against me will not prosper. You do not have to feel it for it to be true. Say it until your soul catches up. Fourth, do not repay evil with evil, no matter how justified you feel. The moment you pick up their weapons, you step off holy ground and onto theirs, and down there God is not obligated to fight for you. Keep your hands clean. Bless where you want to curse. It will feel impossible, and it is exactly what sets you free from them. Fifth, forgive, not for their sake, but for yours. Understand what forgiveness actually is. It is not saying what they did was acceptable. It is not inviting them back in. It is cutting the rope that ties your future to their offense, so that when God moves you forward, they are not still attached, dragging behind you. Unforgiveness keeps you chained to the very people you are begging God to free you from. Cut the rope. Sixth, keep showing up in your quiet place. Pray even when the words will not come. Worship even when you do not feel it. This is where your strength is renewed, not in the fight, but in the presence. Elijah did not get his strength back by winning an argument. He got it in the stillness, in the whisper, in the resting and the being fed. Let God feed you in the secret place. That is where warriors are kept. And seventh, Simply refuse to quit. That is the whole assignment some days. Just stand. When you have prayed and cried and done everything you know to do, and still nothing has changed, stand. The victory does not always go to the one who fights the hardest. Often it goes to the one who is still standing when the smoke clears. That is how you steward this season. Quiet mouth, guarded peace, clean hands, open heart, feet planted, and a God fighting for you in every room you cannot enter. Hold your position. The turnaround is closer than the last attack ever let you believe. So hear this final word over your life, and let it settle on you like a mantle. You are not who they said you were. You are not the sum of what was done to you. You are not the rumors, not the betrayals, not the closed doors, not the long nights you thought no one saw. You are a chosen one, forged in a fire that was meant to end you and instead made you unbreakable. And the God who carried you through every attack is not finished. He is only now getting started. So I speak this over you tonight. I speak peace over the mind that has not rested in years. I speak restoration over everything that was stolen, the time, the trust, the name, the joy. I speak protection over your coming days, that no weapon formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you will see fall silent. I speak vindication over your story, that the God who watched you weep in secret will let the world watch you rise in the open. The attack you thought would be the end of you was the end of them. The season of being hunted is over. The trap is set, and it is not set for you. The fire is behind you, and the gold is what remains. And the enemy who threw everything he had at your life is about to watch that life bloom into something he can't touch, cannot reach, cannot ever take. You made it. You are still here. And still here, after all of that, is the loudest testimony heaven could ever ask for. Now hear me. Before you go, I need you to seal this word over your life. Type 777 in the comments as a declaration that you receive it, that you believe the last attack is behind you and the restoration is ahead. Type it and mean it, because what you agree with in your spirit, heaven moves to confirm. And if this message reached the place in you that has been tired and hunted and afraid for so long, do not let it be the last one. Subscribe and turn on the bell, so that every time heaven has a word for you, it finds you. Share this with someone you know is in the middle of their own battle right now, someone who needs to hear that their fight is almost over. You never know whose breakthrough is waiting on the other side of you passing this on. Go in peace, chosen one. Walk lighter now. The war you have been fighting was won before you even knew the outcome. And the best of your life is no longer behind you. It is standing right in front of you, waiting for you to lift your eyes and step in. They came to bury you. They only planted you, and now watch what grows.